Our main story tonight concerns something Americans simply can't get enough of: prison. We love to be entertained by it, from Orange is the New Black to seemingly MSNBC's entire weekend programming to the TNT classic Tim Robbins Stands Shirtless in the Rain, the movie. We love prison so much, a shocking number of Americans are currently inside one, as we learned last week during a House Judiciary Committee hearing.
Our nation now has the greatest number of prisoners of any country in the world. Nearly 1 in every 100 adults in America is in prison or jail.
That's true. We have over 2 million people behind bars right now. We have more prisoners at the moment than China. We don't have more of anything than China, other than, of course, debt to China. And it didn't always used to be this way. Our prison population has expanded 8-fold since 1970. The only other thing that's grown at that rate since the 70s is varieties of Cheerios. F*** you, Fruity Cheerios! You trumped up Fruit Loops and you know it! And look, our prison population has exploded for a number of reasons, from the dismantling of our mental health system to mandatory minimum sentence laws, which help explain why 97% of people plead guilty to federal crimes rather than risk going to trial, to, of course, drugs. Because half the people in federal prison are there on drug charges, and it accounts for 1/4 of admissions to state prisons. And, of course, it's tricky to know how to feel about all this, because, on the one hand, the war on drugs has completely solved our nation's drug problem, so that's good. But, on the other hand, our drug laws do seem to be a little draconian and a lot racist. Because while white people and African Americans use drugs about the same amount, a study has found that African Americans have been sent to prison for drug offences at up to 10 times the rate, for some utterly known reason. It reminds me of a joke. You know, black people who commit drug offences, they go to jail like this, whereas white people don't go to jail at all. In fact, so many people are incarcerated in America right now that it's become one of the things that Sesame Street has to explain to children.
My dad's in jail.
When I was about your age, my dad was incarcerated too. Incarcerated is when someone breaks the law, a grown-up rule, and then they have to go to jail or prison.
We will be your friend. We'll help you through. You're not alone.
Just think about that. We now need adorable singing puppets to explain prison to children in the same way they explain the number 7 or what the moon is. And at least Sesame Street is actually talking about prison. The rest of us are much happier completely ignoring it, perhaps because it's so easy not to care about prisoners. They are, by definition, convicted criminals. In fact, it's so easy not to care that we are really comfortable making jokes about one of the most horrifying things that can potentially happen to them.
Go directly to jail. Do not pass go, do not collect $200, and do not, I repeat, do not drop the soap.
Look, doubloons. Don't drop them.
You know what? If we were in prison, you guys would be like my bitches.
We're going to federal pound me in the ass prison.
Plus, you got any idea what they do to eggs in San Ricardo prison? It ain't over easy.
Oh. Do you get it? Do you get it? The egg's gonna get f***ed against its will. That's why it's funny. Look, wake up your children and explain that joke to them. They'll love it. We are somehow collectively able to laugh about references to the fact that 4% of prisoners reported being sexually victimised in the past year. 1 in 25. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but think of it like this. If every time you bought 2 dozen donuts, one of them had been raped, you'd be pretty upset. And those are pastries, prisoners are people. If you don't know a prisoner, though, or think that you're ever likely to become one, then their safety and health is not going to be high on your list of priorities. You don't need to know anything about the conditions that they live in. But you know who should know? Well, maybe the director of federal prisons. And yet, watch him almost comically struggle to recall a basic detail about one of the most mentally excruciating things prisoners can be subjected to, solitary confinement.
How big is a cell? How big is the average cell in solitary?
Say the average size?
Cell, yeah, the size of the cell. How big is it? What is, I'm trying to get this is the human thing we're talking about. We've got a lot of statistics. How big is the cell?
The average size of a cell is, I guess I'm trying to find, you're looking for the space of what the...
Yes. The dimensions in feet, in inches. The size of the cell that a person is kept in. I want to get some idea of, I don't know, am I asking this wrong?
No, you're not. You are not asking it wrong. As far as I can remember, you're just asking him what the size of the f***ing cell is. But it was a long time ago. And to be fair, he did eventually get an answer.
The average size should be equivalent to 6 by 4.
What, 6 by 4? A couple of things there. One, that was clearly a guess. And two, 6 by 4 is barely an elevator. That is the length of a 6-foot party sub by the length of the amount of that party sub that's left over the following day, because nobody wants party subs. No, people put their hands all over them, they're disgusted. No one wants, that's not the point. That's not the point. But thankfully, a few minutes later, the record was corrected.
For the actual is 10 by 7 for the cell size.
Ooh, 10 by 7. Step this way, Your Highness. Plenty of room for a ping-pong table and an imaginary opponent as your mind slowly becomes untethered. What is clear so far is that we are doing a terrible job of taking care of people that it is very easy for all of us not to care about. But here's the thing. Increasingly, we aren't taking care of them at all. Private subcontractors have steadily been taking over certain services, like the Aramark Corporation, who provide food to prisons and a promise that with Aramark you can expect more savings. And hey, look, when you're being thrifty with food costs, what's the worst that can happen?
Records show 65 instances where Aramark employees failed to provide food or ran out.
The private vendor Aramark changed recipes to include cheaper, sometimes substandard ingredients.
Aramark Correctional Services made headlines recently after maggots were found in food served at prisons here in Michigan.
That is not good. The only time when you are happy to hear the words maggots were found is when you are a maggot whose family was lost at sea. We floated 3 days on a piece of bread, but we never lost hope. And it's not just food being privatised, it's prison healthcare too. Arizona tried that. Guess how it turned out.
Medical spending in prisons dropped by $30 million, and staffing levels plummeted. 50 people died in Arizona Department of Corrections custody in just the first 8 months of this year. Compare that to 37 deaths in the previous 2 years combined.
50 deaths? At this point, you could hire the people who pretend to be doctors on Grey's Anatomy, and you would probably have a lower mortality rate and a lot more intrigue. Cutting costs has led to some incredible things happening in Arizona. One prisoner had a C-section in jail, and this is how she says they treated her.
They decided to use sugar, kitchen sugar.
What do you mean they used kitchen sugar?
The packets, like McDonald's, the sugar, they would open it, pour it inside, and put gauze over it, and tape it up. And I had to do that for like 3 weeks.
And they poured them in your C-section?
Yeah.
Did they tell you why they were doing that?
One of the doctors learned it from, I don't even know. I don't know. But basically, it's a home remedy.
Sugar was used to treat wounds before the advent of antibiotics back in the early 1900s.
Yeah, But then we all decided it was no longer an acceptable medical practice. Like curing a child's cough with heroin. Well, look, he's not coughing anymore. Yeah, he's not really doing much of anything anymore. And I can't find any of the good silver. But look. You will never pay a political price for treating prisoners like this woman badly. You don't even need to pretend to care. Here is how one Arizona lawmaker responded to her story.
That doesn't sound like a true allegation. That sounds ridiculous. You know, prisoners have, 24/7 to think up allegations and write letters. I'm not saying that that some of them can't have a basis in fact, but you got to take them with a grain of salt, or in the case of the hospital, maybe a grain of sugar.
Somewhere in hell, Satan just sharpened his pitchfork and said to his secretary, "Do me a favour, Janice, and let me know when that guy gets here, OK? I just want to be ready." Many states are even contracting out entire prisons. Nearly 9% of prisons are currently run by private firms like GEO Group and Corrections Corporation of America, who had combined revenues of over $3 billion last year. They're publicly traded. And while their marketing materials emphasise how much they do to help their prisoners rebuild their lives, their pitch to investors has been a little bit different.
In a recent investor presentation, CCA pitches its unique investment opportunity. Another reason investing in the jailing of people makes good financial sense: high recidivism.
Oh, that is a great way to reassure your investors. Look, we see your concerns, what if we fully rehabilitate the prisoners and they become fully functional members of society? Well, don't worry, that's not the kind of company we're running here, don't worry. Once we're done with these prisoners, they're like human boomerangs. They're broken right in the middle and they keep coming back. The key problem with running prisons as businesses is that prisons are then run as businesses. Pay and staffing ratios are so much lower that a GEO Group youth facility in Mississippi sometimes had just 2 officers overseeing as many as 256 prisoners. That facility eventually closed, but only after a federal judge wrote that physical and sexual abuse was rampant there because its operators had allowed a cesspool of unconstitutional and inhuman acts and conditions to germinate. Now, I know that GEO will say that presents an unbalanced picture of their company, so in the interest of balance, I will point out that they got an award from the state of Florida citing their bold and innovative cost-saving business practices. Although I think we all know when the state of Florida gives you an award, that award is basically sarcastic. In fact, a quick side note. The award was signed by Florida Governor Rick Scott, who has led the drive for prison privatization in his state, but on one condition.
What I've said all along is that this is an opportunity for the taxpayers of the state to save money. There's no way we'll do this if we don't save money. As you know, what the bill says is that if we don't save at least 7%, we don't do prison privatization.
Hey. Listen, if you think Rick Scott is going to look the other way for a company with a history of the physical abuse of minors for savings of a mere 6%, you don't know Rick Scott, OK? Ricky needs 7. Ricky wants 7. Ricky likes 7, OK? Now, if you happen at all to be interested in asking Rick Scott about the conduct of the GEO Group, for goodness sake, don't do it tomorrow night. He's busy. We actually checked, and he's going to be at a fundraiser at the home of, and this is true, the CEO of GEO Group. I believe the theme of that fundraiser is a cesspool of unconstitutional and inhumane acts. Look, this is all so depressing. Private prisons are bad, yes, but the whole system just seems fundamentally broken. You know what? I think, if you don't mind, I need a minute. I actually need some help understanding this, if you don't mind.
Hey, John. You seem sad.
Yeah, I am sad, Timmy. It's just... I've been looking at the prison conditions in America, and the whole system is just so horribly broken.
Yeah, I know what you mean. My daddy's in jail right now for a low-level drug offense.
You see, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Timmy. That's crazy.
Well, my daddy's in jail because he killed 4 people.
Yeah, well, okay, he's actually a dangerous individual who needs to be in jail, so that's not really the same thing.
My daddy's in jail and people pay money to see him.
Yeah, that's actually a zoo. That's different. He's in a zoo, okay?
Well, it looks the same to him.
Well, let's not conflate the two, okay? Oh, he's gone, okay.
Hey, John, how badly broken is the prison system?
Well, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but one prison actually put sugar in a woman's C-section.
Wait a second. What's a C-section?
Oh, boy.
Oh, wait. You mean like the letter C, right?
Yes, yes. Yes, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean, yeah. That's...
Mr. Oliver, would it make you feel better if we sing about it?
Well, it can't hurt, can it? Let's do that. Yeah, why not?
Singing about it.
Okay.
It's a fact that needs to be spoken. America's prisons are broken. It's a hard truth about incarceration. Prisons are needed for a civilized nation. But mandatory minimums for heroin and crack.
Stack the system against Hispanics and blacks.
Our prison population is bigger than Slovenia.
Because we put people in jail instead of treating schizophrenia.
It's true.
I know. They put my dad in jail because they say he's a monster.
What did he do?
Nothing. They just said he looked like a monster.
Well, that's racial profiling, and that's wrong too, okay? Yeah.
It's a fact that needs to be spoken. America's prisons are broken.
Prison conditions are a national disgrace.
With violence.
And maggots.
And possibly rape.
And we shouldn't lock up reptiles just to look at their face.
Those are zoos. Those are zoos. Your dad is an alligator in a zoo.
I'm a crocodile. I'm a crocodile.
Jesus, here we go.
Oh, boys.
We all look alike, right?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. No, you can't put that on me. That is clearly not what I was saying.
That's so ignorant.
Oh, come on.
As we were saying, it's a fact that needs to be spoken. America's prisons are broken.
America's broken prison system is brought to you by decades of neglect.
A lack of political courage.
And a generous donation by the Geo Group.
As well as viewers like you.
Yeah.
Yes!